The second part of the anime begins with Tanjiro finally arriving at the place where the participants first gathered before starting the exam, which was now full of blooming wisteria flowers, indicating the exam was over. Of the 20 people who participated in the final selection, only 4 survived to the end, including Tanjiro. The examination committee then announced that the 4 of them had passed and had now officially become the Demon Slayers, even though they were still in the lowest rank, which was the 10th rank. In addition to getting uniforms and weapons, Tanjiro and the others also get a Kasugai crow that will be used to communicate with each other. Afterwards, the committee asked Tanjiro and the others to choose an ore which would later be used to forge the Nichirin sword, a special blade used by the Demon Slayers. It was made specifically for the purpose of slaying demons. The creation of the sword would take at least 10 to 15 days, and the participants who had passed were asked to return to their respective homes and await further instructions. With limping steps, Tanjiro walked back to Mount Sugiri to meet Sakonji and Nezuko. He arrives at the Sakonji residence at night and is immediately greeted by Nezuko, who has woken up from a coma. On the other hand, Sakonji was surprised to see his return, and Nezuko finally woke up after being in a coma for a long time. Sakonji, who couldn't contain the happiness inside him, embraced them in his arms. Meanwhile, Nezuko's condition seems harmless because when she first turned into a demon, Nezuko did not eat human flesh, so she ran out of energy and fell into a coma. However, after sleeping long enough to recover her strength, she finally woke up, coinciding with Tanjiro's return, which officially became the Demon Slayer. 15 days later, a swordsmith named Haganezaka finally arrives at the Sakonji residence to deliver Tanjiro's finished forged sword. Tanjiro invited him to come in and would make tea for him. Still, Haganezaka ignored Tanjiro's words and then explained about the Nichirin sword forged with a special material that can kill demons. Haganezaka explains that the Nichirin sword was forged with scarlet, crimson iron sand and scarlet ore, both of which are found on high mountains like the Sunlight Mountain, which is perpetually bathed in sunlight all throughout the year. As they constantly absorb sunlight, decapitating demons with the Nichirin sword can permanently kill them. Once the weapon slashes their neck bone, their heads and bodies disintegrate into ash in a similar fashion to when exposed to sunlight. Furthermore, Haganezaka says that the swords take on a distinct color when first drawn by their owner, which is why they are also referred to as the color-changing sword. However, the holder is required to have a certain amount of skill, or the blade will not change color. After seeing Tanjiro's physical appearance, Haganezaka thought that the blade would turn bright red, which was a sign of good luck. However, after he pulled out his sword, the blade turned pitch black. Not long after, a Kasugai crow arrives at Sakonji's residence and announces Tanjiro's first mission as the Demon Slayer. Tanjiro is asked to go to a town where many girls are rumored to have disappeared without a trace. After confirming that the incident was caused by a demon, the Demon Slayer's corps assigned Tanjiro to eradicate the demon. The next day, Tanjiro, wearing a special uniform for the Demon Slayer, prepares to start his journey to undergo his first mission. Before leaving, Sakonji tells a few things about the Demon Slayer's uniform, which is made of a special material which can protect his body from demon attacks. Besides that, Sakonji said that the Nichirin sword belonging to Tanjiro was black in color and was very rare. Even in his life, Sakonji had never met the Demon Slayer, who had a pitch-black Nichirin sword. Even so, Sakonji firmly believes that Tanjiro has great abilities, can maximize his power with the sword, and find a way to turn Nezuko back into a human. During Tanjiro's participation in the final selection, Sakonji makes a box made of a special material, which Tanjiro can use to carry Nezuko during the day. He is also very grateful for Sakonji's help and attention to him and Nezuko. After a long, tiring journey, Tanjiro finally arrived at his destination, which turned out to be a bustling port city with a beautiful view. When he entered the city, several residents seemed to be talking about a young man named Kazumi, who looked dazed and frustrated after his fiancée, Sadako, suddenly disappeared while they were dating. Upon hearing that, Tanjiro then approached Kazumi and asked about his fiancée. He then takes Tanjiro to where Sadako disappeared, and once there, Tanjiro can smell the demon's scent, though only faintly. Tanjiro begins to track the demon's tracks by relying on his very sharp sense of smell, though by doing so, he becomes the attention of people who find him strange. Accompanied by Kazumi, he also searches until nightfall. Kazumi asked him to rest and continue the search tomorrow, but he says the demon will appear at night, so he must act quickly before the demon abducts the next victim. Elsewhere, a young girl about to enter her room did not notice that a demon was following her. When she finally fell asleep, the demon immediately appeared from under the floor where she was lying, covered her mouth, and drowned her in the ground. Arriving there, Tanjiro plunged his sword into the ground and managed to save the girl before being devoured by the demon, who turned out to be the caster demon who performed a special technique to move places and hide underground or inside walls. After saving the girl, Tanjiro then asked Kazumi to carry her and stay by his side so he could protect them from the demon who might attack again. Sure enough, the demon finally appeared, able to even duplicate itself into 3, and attacked him simultaneously. In the middle of the fight, Tanjiro remembers the story that was told by his master about the only demon that can turn humans into demons, and the name of the demon is Muzan Kibutsuji. According to Sakonji, Muzan is probably the demon that killed Tanjiro's family and turned Nezuko into a demon. With that assumption, Muzan must know how to turn Nezuko back into a human. That's why, when fighting against the caster demon, Tanjiro tried to find information about him. However, the caster demon becomes a formidable opponent, so Tanjiro immediately becomes overwhelmed by it. Nezuko suddenly came out of his box and immediately helped him in the fight when he was pressed by the demon's attack. Seeing that, the caster demon was very surprised because a demon slayer could cooperate with a demon to help them quell other demons. When Nezuko was deep in sleep, Sakonji instigated a suggestion to her so that she thought that humans were her family. She must protect them, while the demons are her enemies, and she must kill them. Because of that, Nezuko became very violent when fighting the demon caster and clones. Realizing that Nezuko could be counted on to take care of Kazumi and the girl, Tanjiro then enters the black hole that has been used as an intermediary by the caster demon so that he can escape to another place. After entering there, Tanjiro immediately realized that he was in a lake where the water was murky. Many things belong to the girls who had become victims of the caster demon, including Sadoko. He fights against 2 caster demons, while on the surface, Nezuko is also facing 1 remaining demon. He finally managed to defeat the caster demons and return to the surface just before Nezuko was taken down by the demons. Because he had killed 2 other demons, Tanjiro interrogated the demon to get information about Muzan Kibutsuji. But it seems the demons are reluctant to reveal any information about Muzan Kibutsuji because he had transplanted cells within the demons he directly sired to destroy them if they ever mentioned him by name. On the other hand, Kazumi, who finally found out that his fiancée had died, immediately became very shocked and devastated. Tanjiro tries to calm him down, asking him to let her go and move on with his life. Instead of calming down, Kazumi feels irritated at Tanjiro and assumes that he doesn't understand the loss Kazumi is going through. Tanjiro responded to Kazumi's anger with a smile while giving the accessories belonging to the victims that the demon caster collected as trophies, hoping that one of them would belong to Sadoko. Kazumi finally realized that Tanjiro had also lost the people he loved because they were killed by a demon, so Kazumi apologized to him for being rude to him. Tanjiro didn't mind this at all. Then, he said goodbye to Kazumi. After that incident, Tanjiro became increasingly angry at Muzan Kibutsuji and the demons who had taken many humans' lives, making them suffer. Not long after, a Kasugai crow came to Tanjiro and informed him of the demons roaming Asakusa, Tokyo, and asked Tanjiro to hurry there. Hearing that, he had no choice but to carry out the mission, even though he was quite tired after fighting the caster demons. Shortly afterwards, Tanjiro finally arrives in Asakusa at night and is astonished to see a city so densely populated yet so modern. Exhausted, he takes a break while enjoying udon noodles in a quiet park. But then, he smelled a demonic scent so overpowering that it made him tremble, and he accidentally dropped the noodle bowl he was holding. Without thinking, Tanjiro immediately grabbed his sword and rushed off to find the demon's whereabouts, leaving Nezuko alone. By relying on his sense of smell, he finally found the demonic figure in question in the crowd, and that demon was none other than Muzan Kibutsuji, the demon he had been looking for. Not long after, Tanjiro immediately knew that the beautiful man in front of him was a demon with a pair of fiery red eyes. However, when he was about to attack Muzan, how surprised he was when he discovered that Muzan was holding a little girl called him Dad. It didn't stop there. A beautiful woman approached Muzan, and the little girl called her mother. Tanjiro was even more surprised because the little girl and the beautiful woman with Muzan were human. Tanjiro had no idea that Muzan was a demon disguised as a human and seemed so calm when mingling with them. Knowing that Tanjiro was the demon slayer, Muzan then grabbed a man's neck with his fingernail, and instantly, the man turned into a terrible demon. Suddenly there was a commotion in that place, so Tanjiro immediately took action to secure the demon before it took any lives. While Tanjiro tries to bring down the demon, Muzan takes the opportunity to run away with his wife and his daughter. Knowing that Muzan had run away from him, he became very angry and shouted while shouting Muzan's name while insisting that he would cut off Muzan's head. When the police arrived and were about to beat Tanjiro because he insisted on protecting the man who had turned into a demon, suddenly a demon lady appeared who helped Tanjiro by casting a special spell to trick the humans there. Together with her bodyguard, the demon lady then approached Tanjiro. She told him that she was very impressed with him, who still treated demons like humans, and just like him, the demon lady also harbored the same hatred for Muzan Kibutsuji. On the other hand, after ordering his private driver to take his wife and his daughter home first, Muzan then headed to a narrow alley and killed 3 people there. After that, Muzan ordered 2 of his henchmen to kill a demon slayer wearing Hanafuda earrings, who was none other than Tanjiro. Muzan seems to have bad memories of a man wearing Hanafuda earrings, so he was furious when he saw Tanjiro. Meanwhile, Tanjiro, who had finished his dinner, decided to immediately go to the demon lady's residence with Nezuko. They met the demon lady's bodyguard on the way, who was sent to escort them to her residence, protected by a protective spell. When they finally arrived, the demon lady introduced herself as Tamayo and her male bodyguard, Yushiro. Despite being a demon, Tamayo is also a talented doctor and uses her skills to treat humans and demons who need her help. Tamayo looks calm while treating the woman who was attacked by her husband, even though she is a human. Unable to do anything to help the woman's husband, who had turned into a demon, Tamayo just restrained him in the basement. She then reveals to Tanjiro that she was converted into a demon by Muzan, killing and eating her family, to her horror. Tamayo further altered herself and Yushiro to allow them to survive on a small amount of blood and no flesh. They get human blood with a blood transfusion method carried out very safely, which will not cause any adverse effects to the humans who donate blood. Tamayo said she can also create demons, and Yushiro is her creation. However, she insists on only doing it for dying patients who have no other option and ensures they know the price of becoming a demon. Tanjiro then asked her how to turn a demon back into a human. She said that she is trying to find a cure for demons but requires the blood of special demons. Soon afterwards, Tamayo enlists help from Tanjiro, who offers some of Nezuko's blood and tries to get blood samples from members of the 12 Kizuki, a special group of demons serving under Muzan. According to Tamayo, Nezuko is a rare demon because she has been asleep for 2 years and has never preyed on humans or animals after turning into a demon, which would definitely affect her body, so Tamayo had to do thorough research on her. In addition, Tamayo warns Tanjiro about the special demons who certainly have strength almost equal to Muzan. Knowing that Nezuko has a high enough chance of being healed, Tanjiro immediately agrees to Tamayo's request, even though he has to deal with formidable demons. In the middle of their conversation, Tamayo's hideout is destroyed by a female demon named Susamaru, who is Muzan's henchman. Susamaru uses a temeri ball to destroy Tamayo's house, while her partner, a demon named Yahaba, can manipulate the movement and direction of things using the eyeballs on the palms of his hands. As Yushiro prepares to face Susamaru's temeri ball, the ball suddenly changes direction and destroys his head. Seeing that he had been brought down, Tanjiro got up and prepared to fight the demons. On the other hand, Susamaru, who saw the Hanafuda earrings worn by Tanjiro, immediately realized that he was the demon slayer meant by her master, so she became even more excited to kill him. Susamaru then attacked Tanjiro with her temeri ball, but he could stop the attack, although not completely, because the ball could move on its own. Meanwhile, Yushiro, who had recovered himself, seemed so angry that Susamaru and Yahaba had disturbed his precious time with Tamayo. Susamaru ignored his words and revealed that they were members of the 12 Kizuki. After that, Susamaru then showed her real power by growing her arms to 6, and her temeri balls also increased according to the number of her arms. Tanjiro also became very overwhelmed in the face of a barrage of attacks from her. Seeing this, Yushiro then lent his power to Tanjiro so that he could see the arrows to determine the direction of Susamaru's temeri ball attack. After seeing the arrow that Yushiro meant, Tanjiro could easily read the movement of the temeri ball, although he still had a hard time avoiding it. Because of that, he then asked Nezuko to fight against Yahaba, hiding among the trees. When Nezuko managed to land a surprise attack on Yahaba, suddenly, all the arrows controlling the temeri balls disappeared, allowing Tanjiro to easily slash all of the balls at once, including Susamaru's arms. However, Susamaru can regrow her arms in an instant. Knowing that Tanjiro will not win against her, Yushiro orders him to face Yahaba while he fights Susamaru with the help of Nezuko and Tamayo. While fighting Yahaba, Tanjiro can see the scent of the thread that goes to Yahaba's neck, which is his weakness. However, when he is about to attack Yahaba, the eyeballs on his palms can easily break the thread, creating the arrows to brutally attack Tanjiro. Tanjiro immediately became desperate because he could not dodge the arrows that kept attacking him from all directions. If he tried to slash one of them, his body would be thrown in the direction of the arrow. He then found a way to reverse Yahaba's attack by following the direction of Yahaba's arrows. After mustering all his strength, Tanjiro finally managed to slash Yahaba's neck. However, the fight didn't stop there, as Yahaba used his remaining strength to attack him barbarously, throwing his body in all directions as if trying to destroy him. Tanjiro must do everything he can to survive the attack, as he is determined not to die before defeating Muzan. Even though he had defeated Yahaba, Tanjiro did not remain silent and tried to go to Nezuko and the others to help them fight Susamaru, ignoring the condition of his body, which was unable to walk and could only crawl slowly. On the other hand, Nezuko, fighting against Susamaru, lost one knee when she tried kicking her temeri ball. Tamayo acted quickly by injecting serum into Nezuko's body to speed up her healing. Seeing Tamayo, Nezuko became reminded of her mother, so she was determined to protect her. When Yushiro started to get overwhelmed by Susanmaru's attack, Nezuko, who had recovered from her wounds, rushed over to save him. This time, she could kick the temeri ball and even reverse the attack towards Susanmaru, who became very irritated, because it was the first time someone had managed to kick her temeri ball and was not hurt. Nezuko and Susanmaru had exchanged kicks for a while until she finally managed to overwhelm Susanmaru and could not return her kick. Seeing this, Tamayo then told Yushiro that she had just injected a healing serum which had no effect on increasing the strength, so it can be ascertained that Nezuko used her real power against Susanmaru. Even so, Tamayo is still worried about Nezuko because Susanmaru hasn't shown her true power yet, so Tamayo decides to intervene and stop the fight as soon as possible. Tamayo then uses her power to trick Susanmaru into saying Muzan Kibutsuji's name, which will automatically activate the curse on Susanmaru's body, which was implanted by Muzan when he turned her into a demon. Knowing that she had committed a fatal offense, Susanmaru became very frightened and apologized to Muzan. However, the curse had already been instilled, and she could not escape it. On the other hand, Tanjiro and the others seemed to shudder in horror at the horrific sight when the curse destroyed Susanmaru's body. After that, Tamayo confirmed that Susanmaru and Yahaba were not members of the 12 Kizuki because the members of the 12 Kizuki had a special mark of their membership engraved on their eyes. Tamayo said that Susanmaru and Yahaba were two weak demons that only Muzan took advantage of. Upon hearing that, Tanjiro became horrified when the weak demon Tamayo was referring to had beaten him to a pulp and broken his bones. After taking Susanmaru and Nezuko's blood samples for further investigation, Tamayo decides to leave her house because Muzan and his henchmen already know the location. Tamayo, who is very happy because Nezuko has considered her as family, asks Tanjiro for permission so that Nezuko is entrusted to her. However, he insists that no matter what happens and wherever he goes, Nezuko will always be with him, and he will find a way to heal his beloved sister. Even so, Tanjiro thanked Tamayo for her caring and kindness. This is the end of part 2 of this anime.